Hey guys, thank you very much for joining another session. This one is remote payment insights. So very important topic. You guys are going to understand when it's necessary to bring these topics up, right? But remote payment insights is going to be the main topic. So let's move forward. The main objective is going to provide what realistic expectations you guys can look for in an SDR position, in a BDR position, a sales manager position, right? We're going to be able to share that, how you guys can negotiate a little bit better, right? Some of you guys have been just bringing up the fact that, I need a higher amount and that's about it. And then when to actually bring up the compensation plan, right? Not shooting ourselves in the foot and speaking about it a little bit too early on. Some of the topics that we're going to be discussing, once again, is setting those realistic expectations with what global factors are hiring companies keeping into account, right? Which are those global factors? English proficiency, what type of experience, how long have I had this experience, right? Then some role specifics. If you're looking for an AE position, they might be looking for some average deal size, right? So great. Now for some examples, can you go back real quick? So some examples, again, of some profiles that you guys will see: SDR, CSR, and once again, when we will be bringing up that compensation plan. All right. So a few examples here would be for the first one would be for the customer service rep. So for the global factors, I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. Some of the global factors: English proficiency, experience, market type. Have you guys been serving in the B2C space and that's it? Or have you also been serving in the B2B space? What industries have you guys been serving in? And then the role specifics, there's a bunch, but we just listed a few. For CSR, what channels? So were you guys using email? Were you using email, phone, and chat? Was it only chat, right? So what channels were you using? Do you have any demo skills? Meaning, were you getting on these calls with some clients and showing them a new feature? Were you able to walk them through a new process, right? So have you been able to do that as a customer success agent? SDR, what type of lead gen have you been accustomed to? Or have you done any lead gen on your own? Have you just been provided a list? What type of CRMs have you guys been using? Again, what channels? That one pretty much goes for all four. And then what's your average, amount of calls, demos, or meetings booked, right? For AEs, it changes just a bit. Average deal size, right? If I'm currently, using, let's say, an average deal size, I'm selling typically $3,000 to $4,000, right, a month. It's a good amount, but the person that's selling closer to $25,000 to $50,000 a month is going to be able to negotiate a higher salary, right? Just makes sense. So amount of revenue generated, of course, for the AEs, this would be a very specific factor. Sales managers, how many reps were you managing? How many accounts did you have to manage as well, right? Some sales managers were given a team, and you have different accounts. Some might vary from 2 people accounts, 5 people accounts, 10 people accounts. So again, that would be a huge determining factor as to how you're going to be able to negotiate if you're going for these specific roles. Moving forward. All right. So some examples that we're going to provide. So this is where we'll have believe it's customer service person. Yes, it is. So as an example, guys, again, it's not, CloudTask is not stating that, if you have these characteristics, you will definitely get X amount, right? At the very end, you can see realistic range. So we'll start from the beginning. We have it at entry level, mid-level, and senior level, right? We've used an example as professional working proficiency, right? This one could be closer to the B2, right? The B2 space. If we're looking at on a worldwide scale, what type of market type have they been accustomed to serving? B2C, mainly business to consumer, right? I was working with Humana and I was reaching out to specific, patients. I was working with a real estate company and I was calling specific home owners, right? So that would be more considered B2C. Let's say you have a year of experience, right? You have about a B2 English level, B2C experience for about a year. You've used HubSpot before. Awesome. Do you have any demo skills? No, you have not. You've only been using chat, right? We placed here that a realistic range can vary between 800 to 1,200 a month, right? 800 to 1,200 is what we've seen be more of that average bracket for what we just expressed, right? So entry level, professional working proficiency as far as English level, or B2, right? Market type B2C. The CRM, yeah, they've used, it doesn't have to be HubSpot, by the way. We're just listing one CRM, right? Demo skills is a no. So that would be a big one. Demo skills is a no. And the only channel you've used is chat. Now, if we move over to mid-level, full proficiency, fluency. So this one could be considered a C1, right? C1 advanced. Now, they have experience in B2B for about 2 years. They also have used HubSpot. They have not done any demos just yet. They have done chat and email. Those are the two channels they've been using mainly. 1,200 to 1,400, hey, maybe even 1,500 would be a good realistic range, right? So once again, mid-level, someone that has about a C1 English level, has been in the B2B space before for about 2 years or less. They have used a CRM before. They have not just been working off of Excel, right? They've used a CRM. They've never actually had to do any onboarding demo or any type of demo presentation whatsoever. They've used channels such as chat and email, and a realistic range we're stating is 1,200 to about 1,400 or even 1,500. All right. Moving forward. Well, one more. Back to the senior customer service agent. Native would be their English level, right? So C2/native. They have experience both in B2C and B2B. We even placed here they have 4 years or more experience in B2B, 2 years in B2C. Great. They've used HubSpot, Salesforce. We have Go High Level, right? So basically, they're technology agnostic. They've used a lot of CRMs. Do they have any demo skills? Yes, they do, right? What channels have they used? Chat, email, and phone. So they've used all three. They've used all three. And that one can range from 1,400, 1,500 to about 2,000, right? Or more. And again, some of these things will differentiate based on what are those responsibilities looking like? Do I have to do any demos, right? But basically for a senior native English speaker that has experience both in B2C and B2B with multiple types of CRMs that they've used and they have held demos in the past, they can be looking anywhere between 1,400 to 2,000 north. Moving forward. So now we'll give you guys an example for an SDR, right? And again, these are SDRs, CSRs, specifically in LATAM and the Caribbean. So for an entry level, professional working proficiency, once again, guys, that would be closer to that B2 or very high B1, right? On their way to becoming that B2. The market type they've been exposed to has been mainly B2C, mostly business to client, business to consumer. 1 year in that experience, right? Zero lead generation, right? They've never done any lead generation on their own. They've never had to use LinkedIn or Zoom Info, Apollo. Okay, CRM. They have used HubSpot. They've only used phone and email. Not much of a social seller. They've mainly used, traditional phone and email. Great. How many calls have they been able to make? 80 to 100, right? And the realistic range is about 1,000 to 1,200, right? We're not mentioning any commissions here. We're speaking mainly about the base range, right? So again, entry level, someone that has about a high B1, B2 English level. They've had experience in B2C, right? Never really done any lead generation. They've always been provided a list of leads, and basically they've had to send out emails and make calls to that list, right? They've used HubSpot, and the average, calls, and I'm sorry, that it wasn't monthly, it's daily, right? 80 to 100 calls a day would be about that we're giving you guys 1,000 to 1,200. This can vary, but it's a good range. Mid-level would be now those C1s, full proficiency, fluency. C1s, you have experience in B2B for 2 years, or less. You've used Apollo, you've used Sales Navigator, you've used HubSpot as well. Email and social, you haven't really used the phone, right? You haven't really used the phone. I'm sorry, no, we're missing phone. You have used email, phone, and social. You've done about 120 calls on a daily basis, 1,400 to 1,650. I'll make a quick parenthesis there, guys. A lot of companies will average about 12 to 15 calls that a rep should be able to make, right? 12 to 15 calls. Some companies will look at it on a 6-hour span. Some will look at it on an 8-hour span. So if you're hitting exactly 12 different call, right? Not dialing the same number, but you're dialing different contacts. That is about 80 calls, right? 80 calls would be average. Now, if you're going above average, 120 has been seen to be a good number that remote candidates are hitting at a higher mark, and they're getting more conversations, right? So again, that's why it's a bit of a numbers game. We've noticed that reps that are able to hit a lot more calls or understand that they need to push it. We've seen a trend also in their payment range, right? Finally, for the senior would be, once again, English level would be a C2 native. They have experience in both B2B, B2C for over 4 years, 4 years or more. They have experience as well in Apollo Sales Navigator, Zoom Info, right? They've been able to use different types of tools to be able to extract, valuable information. Let it be an email address, let it be a phone number. So again, for all of you guys that have that experience, that's a huge plus. Maybe now what you need to do is get on the phone side, right? Maybe get some social selling going on. But yes, and then finally 140 calls or more. So this person's definitely hitting at least 22 calls an hour, right? They're going above and beyond, and maybe even more, right? So that person's closer to that $2,000, $3,000 range, right? $2,000 to $3,000 range. Moving forward now to the AE, we will see again same layout: entry, mid-level, and senior, right? As you guys know, full proficiency B2C has been the only type of market type that they've been exposed to. The average deal size that they've been accustomed to has been anywhere from $500 to $5,000. Have they worked for American-based companies? So this is a big one. When you guys are expressing this, it's all on how you're able to sell yourself, but we're never going to lie about, if we've worked for American companies before. But we've noticed that if you have had the exposure to American companies, right, you will have a higher range, especially for those AEs, SDRs as well. But I would say especially for those AEs. So if you have had average deal sizes of 5,000 to 5,000, you've never worked for an American-based company, right? It's all been companies either in your home country, in Latin America, in the Caribbean. The annual revenue that you were able to generate for that company, let's say, is $25,000. You're closer to that 1,000 to 1,400 range as an AE, right? Because there is a place where you need to start. That's why it's entry level, and especially if you haven't served American companies, means that there's still a lot that we can learn, right? Both culturally, maybe on communication. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know, entry level for those high B1s, B2s with B2C experience, with the average deal size of 500 to 5,000, with zero experience working with American-based companies, can look forward to about 1,000 to 1,500 as their realistic range. Now to the mid-level, full proficiency, right, would be once again those C1s. You have experience in B2B, right? The average deal sizes that you guys are working on are now 5,000 to about 30,000. Obviously, it's a bigger range. You have worked for American-based companies as AEs, right? Sorry if I didn't mention that before, but obviously as AEs. The annual revenue that you're generating for that company is roughly 80,000 to 100,000. So we've noticed that about 1,400 to 2,000 north, right? We're seeing with AEs with experience 2 years or less, right, are closer to that range of 1,400 to 2,000 north, right? Enough said. You guys will be able to go over the chart on your own time as well. And then for the senior levels would be native English. They have been exposed to B2B and B2C. Their average deal size go anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000, right? Have they worked for American-based companies? They have. Annual revenue generated closer to the $250,000, right? So these are looking at 2,000 to 5,000 north, right? Obviously, if you're located in the US, if you're located in different locations, this will differ. That's why these insights are mainly if you're located in Latin America or the Caribbean. All right, moving forward to sales managers. So we'll close it off with the sales manager. Once again, same layout, entry level, right? Entry level would be those B1s to B2s. The amount of reps that they have managed directly have been 1 to 5. 1 to 5 reps, good number when you're starting out. Number of accounts could be 1 or 2, right? Some sales managers haven't been exposed to having to handle multiple accounts with multiple reps. If you have, it's just, more icing on the cake. Now, the company type that you've been a sales manager for have mainly been for startup organizations. Okay, so, I'm sorry, not for the company type that your team has been reaching out to have been startups, right? So it's a smaller team, right? It's usually easier to reach out to that individual. The realistic range for those sales managers are between $1,400 to $1,600 a month. Entry level, B1s, on their way to becoming B2s or B2s. They've managed 1 rep to 5 reps. They've managed up to 1 to 2 accounts at the same time, and they are targeting with their team startup organizations, right? For a mid-level sales manager, someone with more of a C1 English level, they've managed 5 to 10 reps, potentially 2 to 5 accounts. They're targeting more emerging companies, right? Can be looking at anywhere between 1,600 to 2,000 or north, right? Then finally, for senior sales managers, native English, they've been the amount of reps that they've been managing are anywhere from 10 to 25 reps. The amount of accounts can differ. Maybe they're 5 or more, right? They're going after corporate or enterprise. And I would say actually from 2,000 all the way up to 5,000, right? So that's a little typo on my end. So 2,000 to 5,000 would be a more realistic range, right? So moving forward. All right. So when and how to discuss compensation plans during the interview, guys. So if you've been to the other sessions we've had, if you got your video approved and you landed your first and you haven't landed your first interview, what can I do to get more interview requests? Hey, I landed my first interview, my second interview, haven't gotten any follow-up interviews or any assignments. What should I do, right? So in those sessions, we've brought up the fact that never bring up compensation commission structure on your first interview, right? That's number one. That's the first piece of advice. And I know I sound like a broken record, but that would be number one. Do not bring up compensation plan until you've secured a second interview, right? Until you've secured that there is a next step, right? Those would be that would be one of the first things, right? Secondly, a lot of these companies are providing you guys with assignments. Let it be, hey, send me a first touch email. Here's the company. You're the SDR. How would you reach out to Jane? So the ability for you to get those done quickly, efficiently is also going to help you out in this negotiation path, right? Why? You're going to be able to bring up the fact that your ramp up time period is a lot quicker than it would be with others, right? So bringing that up is also helpful in the negotiation chat, right? Another thing that I've noticed is whenever you guys are expressing the reason for a higher amount, many of you are not bringing up, good statements or reasons are because I brought results for these previous companies, right? You're not breaking it down with tangible information. So on the previous slides where we had some role specifics, if you're looking for, an AE role, right? You're looking for an AE role, you should be able to express what those average deal sizes were looking right? What was the average sales cycle? Were you able to close these customers in 3 months, and these prospects in 3 months, 4 months? So the ability to be able to express that in a professional way is very important, guys. You can't just say, hey, you know what? CloudTask has their 15%. So, I need a higher amount. I mean, it is the truth. Don't get me wrong. It's just you're stating something that's already known, both to you as the seller, right? And to them as the buyer. So it's kind of like when you get into an Uber or an InDriver, I don't know, wherever you are in your country, these applications where you can basically order a motorcycle or a vehicle to pick you up so they can take you to your destination. I'm not sure if you've dealt with any drivers where they'll let you know, like, hey, Danny, can you pay me a little bit more, man? It's just that, Uber's keeping 15% of the rate. So, right. So it becomes an uncomfortable situation. What I'm saying with this is use your time wisely. Companies are aware, you're aware. So I believe that the best way to express why you need a higher compensation is based on the fact that you have a really good experience in the industry. If you don't, you have a really good experience as an SDR, as an AE, as a CSR, as a sales manager, right? Moving forward, you should think about results. These people are results driven. And if you're going to be negotiating a compensation plan, this is the moment to discuss, how much money you've been able to generate for companies, how many appointments you've been able to generate for your account executive team, right? What was your CSAT score from 2020 to 2024, right? So like mentioning information that is tangible, percentages, revenue generated, how many customers was I able to serve? This is all things that we need to do, right? So moving forward, we're going to get into our interactive QA session, team. We're going to have a few questions there for us to answer. And if you guys have any, please feel free to jot them down. We have Mauricio as well, ready to type those in as soon as they come in. All right. What would be a good example of demo skills? All right. So an example would be onboarding specialist, right? Maybe we've heard that term, thrown around loosely. Onboarding specialist would fall under customer service, customer success, which would basically mean there's a new customer. They need to know how to use your platform. You're going to be able to join, walk them through from A to Z, right? And you're going to be able to provide that insight. That can fall under customer service or as an account executive, right? I've seen some companies have SDRs do it, but not as much. But definitely with AEs would be more of a potential customer, a prospect coming in, requesting a demo, right? And you're able to actually provide that insight, ask them, hey, John, what brought you, to CloudTask today? May I know, right? That allows you to show that you really want to understand before you just start feature dumping about your platform. You want to understand what's going on. You've been able to hold down a demo setting before. But yeah, that would be more of an example of what demo skills we meant, right? Have you been able to jump on a call, get on Zoom, get on Google Meets, and share your screen, walk a customer or a prospect through your process and your flow?
Hey, Danny, how's it going? So thanks for sharing all those insights with the community. This has been pretty useful. I have a couple of questions that the community has been asking. So the first one is, if I'm offered a salary lower than expected, how can I negotiate for other benefits or compensations that balance the total offer?
Okay, repeat that to me one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if I'm offered a salary lower than expected, how can I negotiate for other benefits or compensations that balance the total offer?
All right. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of companies that will try and, negotiate based on higher commission structures than lower bases, right? We've all been exposed to that. So how you can negotiate a better compensation or incentive program if you've already agreed on a lower base, the way that I would negotiate it is, once again, with realistic numbers as far as when you can expect to see this. So something like Mauricio. So yes, I'm okay with 1,500 as my base. I understand that you're telling me that I will make double in commissions. That's great. Just had a few questions. Right now for the SDR position, what's the average appointment amount of appointments that your SDR is bringing in? Oh, okay, this much. Okay, great. And as of now, what is that compensation structure for that person? X amount. Okay, great. Am I going to be given that same commission structure? Yes. Great. So if that's a commission structure you're okay and you're aligned with and you're fine with, let it be 25, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, 150 bucks for appointments completed, then you're closer there, right? But if you really want to be closer to $100 and he's offering 50, break it down in, hey, if I'm able to execute in the next 60 days, 90 days, can we have another conversation about that commission structure? Can we have another conversation about the base? Can we discuss potentially 1,800, right, as my base? And can I, I'll take a loss on the commission for just a bit, right? If that's what you guys are interested in. And again, it depends on the industry, guys. I've seen that real estate, there's some good commissions in there, right? They take a bit long, but it also depends on what you're getting offered, right? You need to be firm. You need to be strong, even if right now, hey, rent is due. I got to pay the bills. I'm just going to say yes really quick and then, see what else is out there. I've seen that come back and bite a lot of us in the butt. So yeah, that's what I would say. Be clear with your expectations. Be okay with the base that you're stating. Understand what the current commission structure looks like for current SDRs, AEs, sales managers, right? Understand what that current state looks like. And if you're not okay with that, talk about what the future state can look like with some real numbers, right? Hey, how about in 90 days, we discuss XYZ?
Great. So the next question is, in the context of salary negotiation, how can I effectively make my case salary for above the average if my experience and skills justify it?
Okay. So in other words, if my experience, my English level, the market type that I've been in, right, everything aligns, how can I be closer to that negotiation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So I have a few that I think fall under every bucket. Let it be you're looking for a CSR sales manager, right? Maybe for CSR, you guys are sometimes chipped out of some commissions, right? You guys aren't really in the commission space. But one thing I would say is the ability for you to be able to host internal or external meetings is going to be a big determining factor of how you can negotiate a higher salary. So give you an example. I want to hire 2 SDRs. I'm a startup company. One SDR has shown or has, expressed even through the interview process, they've let me know that they've handled internal calls, right? Where they've had to speak with their internal team, let them know what today's session is going to be about, what are the objectives, and moving forward, this is the next meeting, right? If you've been able to do that in the past, that would be a great way, not to boast and kind of sound arrogant, but definitely let them know that you've held external and internal meetings. External could be kind of with the question that our Facebook user asked, right? Well, can you give us an example of a demo showing demo skills? Demo skills could be shown both internally and externally, right? So back to it, that would be a good thing because you're able to show, I got your back, Mr. CEO, that you need to hire some people. You probably have a smaller team. I got your back. I can actually run a call. I can run a sales meeting if needed because, you had to go do something else. I can do this, right? You're going to outshine the SDR that has not done it yet. SDR, if you haven't done it yet, get to it, right? Start asking your current employers if you can handle those internal meetings, right? So yeah, I would definitely say that's one. The ramp up time that you guys will take, I think, is essential, right? You being able to say it in a confident way, not arrogant, but hey, look, Mauricio, I can assure you that I am going to understand what it is you guys do, who it is you guys are targeting, what are the best channels to use within a week. I know that typically, SDRs take about 2 weeks to 3 weeks to get fully ramped up. I would say that I'm going to take about a week and a half, max. Again, say this, guys, if you're confident with it, right? Because then you're going to be put to the test. Then it's going to be like, Danny, it's 3 weeks later and you're still telling me you don't understand, our value proposition, right? So yes, definitely make sure that you're able to walk the walk, right, guys? So yeah, those are two that I would stay, make sure that you're able to express any other skills that you have when it comes to internal, external meetings. Make sure to let them know that your ramp up time period is going to be a lot quicker than the average. That's why you deserve above average payment, right? Mauro, yeah, go ahead if there's any other questions.
Yeah, I have Sebastian Castrillon here. Something pretty interesting because he says it's very important and very important and insightful. I know that this live is focused on the employee, but what advice would you give to the leaders and HR managers to make the market fair but profitable? So this is
Okay,
more
I love
into
it.
on the standpoint of the HR managers, right?
Correct. Or even, the business owners, right? Completely understand. So one of the main things I would say is a making your remote candidates feel that they're not a remote candidate. What do I mean by this? Sometimes companies are new to the outsource space, right? If you are, treat them like your own, right? Maybe you can't get them on the same commission structure just yet because there's a bit of a proof of concept, right? So I would say, A, involve your remote candidates so they feel that they're, right there in the office, right? Secondly, everyone is aware that cost of living differentiates based on where you are, right? There are different things based on cost of living to where your experience merits a better commission structure, a better payment scale. So what I would say to that, Sebastian, and again, great question, is the base to the commission structure is where you need to be able to have that balance where if you're a startup organization, you have 1 to 2 clients, you're getting things started. It's gonna be a lot more honest and open to these SDRs where they understand what the current situation looks like, right? You can't expect to become a millionaire, sir, if we're trying to get there, but we would definitely love to incentivize you guys with a few bonus structures, right? So maybe I don't have the money or the revenue right now to provide you with $2,000 as a base. Maybe I do have to offer you 1,200 to 1,300, and you have a great English level and you have over 3 years of experience. But I am willing to offer you this much for appointments completed, right? I'm gonna give you a small kickback on what our AE team closes, right? I think that's crucial as well. Like if you're that's gonna motivate that person to keep getting quality. I understand that I get $50 if it's completed. All right, cool. I got to get them completed. All right, they got to show up. I send them a quick follow-up email the day before. I give them a call the day of, whatever it is our follow-up process is. But nonetheless, if we know we're getting a little kickback based on that quality, we want to be there a lot more, right? So with all that being said, Seas, I would say that the bonus structures could be a lot stronger, right? Could be a lot stronger. And if we're speaking mainly about payment and payment insights, that's what I would say. You definitely want to stay competitive in the market. There are other companies out there, other sales agencies, other companies that have the budget to pay these individuals 2,000, 2,500. So it does fall down on what can I provide for them on a monetary basis, but it also means, am I involving them on sales meetings? Am I making them feel part of this family, right? It goes a long way. It will be based on money, but you'd be surprised as to how many people also will stick around based on a good culture, even if that base isn't exactly there, but they believe in the cause, right?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. And something that I want to point out is the fact that within the community, we don't just have people that are looking for jobs. For instance, Sebastian, that is an HR manager, we are also providing resources for them. And I have one last question. That is, what is the best way to respond when a potential employer asks you for salary expectations before discussing the role details?
Perfect. So again, this is kind of like, don't bring up payment unless it's being brought up. And if it's being brought up, hopefully you're ready and prepared. So if you haven't seen the job details, you have to have the integrity, not to say no to them like right away, but in your head, you have to have the integrity to say no to yourself, right? You might need the job. You might see that they're really cool. They might be really liking your profile. Hey, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to work, for anywhere from 1,600 to 1,800 bucks, right? Without knowing the responsibilities, are you going to be using a power dialer? Are you going to be also be doing some type of lead generation? Will you be doing XYZ, right? So knowing those expectations prior, so you need to have the integrity to say no to yourself, right? Let them know right away, like, oh, okay, great. Well, I don't want to shoot, just a random number to you, Mauricio, without understanding the full scope of my responsibilities. I've had the experience of being an SDR, of being a full cycle salesperson, closing my own deals, sending out my contracts, right? So I kind of want to understand what's currently, on the plate today, whatever, right? We can say that in different ways, but yes, I would say don't go into it without understanding what you're getting yourself into. Is this a part-time? Is this a full-time, right? We're getting a lot more, part-time opportunities in the marketplace, which is great. And yeah, definitely, you guys need to understand what you're getting yourselves into.
Thanks, Danny.
You got it.
So if you guys have any other questions, remember that we have the remote job community both on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we're going to show you where you can guys stay tuned. We have, I'm going to attach all the links of the Facebook community. Also, we have a WhatsApp group, and we are planning some mock-up calls because this is pretty nice to the community, because maybe you guys, if you're getting prepared for those jobs and for those interviews, it's nice to keep your skills sharp. And this is something that we are planning with Danny Agudelo. So that's something major that we are planning. So do you want to give more details about the mock-up calls?
Mock-up calls. And as well, if you guys, a lot of you have gotten approved, right? Lots of videos have gotten approved, but maybe you haven't gotten any interviews. Again, mock-up calls, but you can also schedule some time so we can, go through a few videos. People have been sending me videos on WhatsApp as like little practice rounds. And then, hey, maybe there's a better way that we can express ourselves. So yes, mock-up calls, but also, quick calls to get that video profile even better, right? Even more impacting. With the mock-up calls, guys, again, being able to jump on a call, I would act as the interviewer. We're going to go into it, making you guys feel more comfortable for an uncomfortable situation, right? Why did you leave your previous company? Right? So we don't want to get caught up in those situations. Hey, thank you for joining. Loved your profile. So I'm assuming you got to, do a little bit of research about us, right? Yeah, of course. Great. What do you love about us? I love that you guys are helping people, right? So we could say that it's better than staying quiet, but during a mock-up call, we're going to be able to get those jitters out. We're going to be able to be provided a little bit more feedback, right? But yes, definitely feel free to reach out to Mauricio, myself, Vivian, and also wanted to, and we're going to share this, Mauro, at the end. Maybe we can just send them over. I have like just a list of things that, again, is what you should use to negotiate a better salary. But I don't know if I should share them right now, or if you want to close up with these additional resources, or were you pretty much done?
Yeah, something that we can do, if you agree with this, is that we can share that information within the Facebook community. So in that way, we are going to be on the same place.
Awesome. So Facebook and maybe LinkedIn?
Yeah, also LinkedIn. I'm going to attach all the links here in the comments.
So I'll verbally share them, right? And then maybe questions will come up while I state those, and then we'll share them through those channels like you just stated, right? So one of the ones that stated before, the ability for you to host external and internal calls is icing on the cake, right? Being able to express the ramp up time that is average to what the ramp up time that you're going to take is completely, it's going to be game changer, right? If you're going after a startup company and you being able to express that you already have email templates, phone scripts, right? You already have a process down. You already have a bit of a cadence. Hey, I call in the morning twice, right? Then I follow up the next day with an email. I wait 2 days, then I give them another follow-up call, but this time in the afternoon, right? So if you already have some type of outline process, state that in your negotiation skills, right? That's going to let them know, like, oh, all right, this person is not only going to be here to take in what I give them and do what they're told, but they're going to be advising me, right? Another reason why I'm more open to paying you more, right? So yeah, if you have any type of collateral like templates, scripts, guys, state it, bring it up. Do not bring it up if you do not have any, or you better, better be quick with ChatGPT and get something going. But nonetheless, bring it up. If it's something you have experience with, it really will help outshine, right? It will really help you outshine with everyone else in our marketplace. Again, if you're reiterating the monthly budget, right? If you're able to mention, like Mauro, you said, hey, how much are you willing to to work for us for, right? Without understanding the responsibilities, kind of in that same sense. But maybe you already discussed the responsibilities. Something you can state is, hey, John, well, I understand, Mauricio, I understand that your budget right now is 2,000 to 3,000. I believe that I'm closer to that 3,000 range. I think that intro or that sentence is a lot quicker than, like, I would like to get paid $3,000 a month, right? You being able to express, hey, look, John, I noticed that your job post actually has the budget of 2,000 to 3,000. That's great, because that's actually where I'm at. I'm at the 3,000 range. The reason for that, and then I'll get to my second point, which I said before, tangible information, right, guys? So you being able to mention amount of demos presented, amount of appointments completed, yes, amount of calls made. It's a sense of placebo. It's a placebo, but companies do like to hear how many have you been exposed to, because again, if you say you've done 300 to 400 calls a day without using an auto dialer, don't shoot yourself in the foot, guys. They're going to sense a little bit of BS, and they're going to put you on the spot, and they're going to be expecting those numbers. So if you use the power dialer, mention it, right? Now, just as you would ask impacting questions on the interview, now when you're in the negotiation phase, there's also some good impacting questions. Mentioned some before with Mauro, which is, what's the average deal size that your current AE is handling, right? That way you get a better idea of, okay, so he or she is actually handling X amount on an average on a monthly basis. Great. Where are our leads coming from, right? What are the sources of our leads? That's going to help you as an AE. This is more of an AE example, right? It's going to help you understand, oh, there's an SDR team in place. We have, tons of marketing, and we're getting a lot of people downloading content, and they're requesting interviews. But okay, you're getting a sense of like where these leads are coming from, right? And again, impacting the person in the sense of, okay, this person's curious. They want to know, what's the average closing rate, right? What does that closing rate look like for your AEs right now? So again, these questions are also going to help you guys outshine the others that aren't asking them, help you understand, should I really make my decision on commission, on a higher commission structure, if they just said that the average deal size is about 2,000, the guy's closing 2 out of 10 deals, and you know what? I want to try and get a higher base as opposed to the commission that he's offering me, right? So again, that's going to help you make a better decision towards the end, right? So we will send those over. We'll send those over. It's about seven of them. But yes, it's basically the same thing that we've been discussing on the other sessions, but now more in that negotiation phase. And just to close off what I mentioned before, guys, right? You have a few seconds, minutes to impact the interviewer. If it's coming down to money and how much I would like, you're both aware on the Cloud Task Marketplace fees. You guys will see a more successful trend if you just stick on what are my previous experiences, what numbers can I share with you, how can I express that I am going to understand what you do quickly, get ramped up quickly. I'm going to be able to help you with internal and external meetings a lot quicker, right? That's going to position yourself in a better way to get those to get the rate that you really want and that you deserve. And that would be it, guys. Want to thank you guys for joining. Again, the ranges that we shared for SDR, CSR, sales manager, account executive, ranges that we've seen. Again, some of you guys might have tons of experience, but that's why we tried breaking it down between 2 years or less, 4 years or more, right? So you guys can have an idea. Feel free to reach out to Mauricio or myself if you guys have any further questions. And we look happy to see you guys on our next session. All right.
Thanks, Danny, for those insights. And for everybody that is interested, I'm going to attach all the links. And you guys, like, the idea of these sessions is to level up your skills. If you have any specific questions, you can reach out through DM, and that's basically it. Oh, just one last comment says from David. Very insightful. It's hard to find real information about salary ranges and expectations based on real business factors. This helps not only employees but leaders to understand how the industry works in reality. Guys, if you want to have access to this specific presentation, I can send that, so that is going to be a valuable resource for you. Just reach out to Danny or me, and we're going to be sharing all this information with you guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.